I got something very exciting because we're going to begin with interactions, and I think that will just spiral into some really profound and deep topic. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to have to chop this up into parts. So I'm going to use a comment to kind of begin this, and if it takes 10 minutes we make one part, if it takes 40 minutes we make 4 parts, okay? And then we upload it in parts. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at a comment that was in the comment section of my last video, and this comment was from a user named Judawi. And he's saying, hey, I recently discovered your channel. Since you talk about hemisync, which is the method of having 2 tones in your ear that are slightly different, forming a new tone in the center of your skull, that's what it feels like, in order to remain focused while going into deeper and deeper states of relaxation. Yeah, so now you already learned something. You can try that next time. Can you feel that feeling? Try it next time. Do some hemisync. Yeah, we're growing. I wanted to know. It happened a few times that I felt my body starting to vibrate. But last time, the vibrations were so intense that I felt my arms getting like paralyzed. I keep my hands joined on my chest, lying on the back, and I felt my soul was literally being sucked out of my body. That never happened to me before, so I kind of freaked out and opened my eyes. The vibrations were going crazy, and my arms were like stuck on my chest, in T-Rex pose almost. It took me like 5 minutes to recover, walking around my kitchen and focusing on breathing. The vibrations gradually went down and I was able to move my arms again. Suddenly, I felt like some sort of divine energy leaving my body. It was very pleasant sensation. I couldn't describe it, and I'm almost ashamed of what I'm going to say, but it is like I was some kind of prophet. It was like it was telling me, the feeling was telling me that I was like a prophet, which has been a recurring theme when using psychedelics since my first experience. Okay, let's just break that down a little bit. When you get an astral projection, very often the typical experience is breathing and relaxing until you vibrate, and then as that vibration is kind of separating you, so that you feel that your body is vibrating and you're inside the body and you're kind of you're experiencing it, but you're not part of it. And so you first identify with it and you think you're gonna die, right? And then it's like, no, the body can keep on doing its thing while I roll out of my body, for example. That's the typical one. You roll out. There's even part of the Gateway Hemisync Experience tapes, which is the program I follow, even at the first wave 1 in the later weeks, that's something you're taught to visualize, and that's something you do. You vibrate, you separate, and then you roll out, right? So that's a very typical astral projection experience, and I've talked about it before. In the moments before you separate, you're gonna have to hand over your body, and it's intuitively what I feel, because I don't want to comment on anybody else but myself. I'm talking from my own experience, and then we compare afterwards with ourselves. Is that it's like intuitively, it's like, shit, I think I'm gonna die. I think I'm dying, So that's what he's describing here. But from what I hear, he had a real good one. He had a big experience, and in no way am I going to belittle it. I mean, this is focus 23. I'm not there yet. I'm only at focus 12, and I'm doing 1 month of patterning. So I don't want to belittle in any way, because I'm coming right after you, man. I'm right behind you, man. So we're gonna take this to heart, yeah, and look forward to focus 23 of our training program. I was going for focus 23, yeah. I'm quite afraid to go back to that, since it really felt like dying. Have you had similar experiences? Oh yes. I can go into another one, since you already mentioned psychedelics. So for many years I saved up money, got up early, did some work, did my studying, did my funds, took care of my accounts, took care of my finances, got dressed, went to the store, did everything right for many years, and I was so stable. Oh my god, it's like Rick, he's rock solid. Rick is rock solid. And then after many years of being rock solid, being the most accountable guy you can imagine, it's like Rick, he's got it. He's a stable, boring guy. He's a very boring guy. I went down to Peru for 1 month, just a month. I took myself some vacation, went down to Peru, and I did some ayahuasca, right? And people freaked the fuck out. Oh my god, what kind of hippie is this? This kind of druggy guy, fucking freak going down to Peru doing ayahuasca. You freak, you know. It's just like, because they see those 4 weeks. They don't see the 4 years, right? So that's really annoying, and that's one of the reasons why I want to keep this a kind of hush. People, it's so, yeah, you know what it is. You know what it is, right? We've all seen the 60s commercials. This, yeah, if you take this, you jump out the window. And anyways, that's a short little disclaimer. Oh my god, it's super dangerous. But anyways, I went down there, and there was this guy who was very much into Hinduism. His name was Shantanu, and he gave me the Sonoran Desert Toad, the psychedelic toad, which is extremely powerful. And it was something that I had worked with, and that one is like, it's like your whole body just opens up like a elevator door, like bing, and then it opens up, and what comes out is essentially your essence, and then it just leaves that behind, and then there's a world, there are houses, and they have this weird feeling to them, and this weird, it's like, yeah, funeral home was one of the thoughts that just popped up, was like, funeral home, It was a kind of funny way to use that word. And it's one of a lot of people believe that when you die, it's like that. So yeah, that one is like instantaneously, it forces you into just projecting and just shooting out of body like a cannonball, and not necessarily very not necessarily scary. With me it was like, because I just popped out because it was so much. You just breathe this thing into your lungs, and you notice the warmth, and you have to hold in the smoke, but eventually it's just, when it comes on, if it was very weak, then it would be like but here it's like wow, and then then it's over because it's so strong, so that's actually, it can be quite nice actually. I would say it's pleasant, but it's still, your body knows what you're about to do, right? So everybody knows what, at all levels, your higher self is like, oh shit, Here we go. Here we go. So even if it's kind of pleasant, you're still gonna be like in reverence of the power, you know, because you know it's power. It's like, oh, the power. Gotta have reverence. Well, should I try it again? Will I die? I feel like I'd be okay to die on this plane, but I'd like to tell my family first that has to happen, and I don't want to worry them if I do it again, and I'm able to come back to my body after. So the thing is, this reminds me of a story of a yogi known as Parmahamsa Yogananda. He brought Kriya Yoga to the West. He had a bunch of people, and he also died by what's called Maha samadhi, which is when a yogi who is classified as Parmahamsa, you know, the Swan, the one who can breathe himself out of life here breathe himself out of body whenever he wishes to, and he could essentially he could pull out his life essence at command whenever he'd like to. He could also come back to body whenever he liked to, and as a young child he would do this to kind of mess with his parents, and they would bring him to the hospital, and he would come back in like ta-da, you know. So that's, I don't know if that's possible. It's just a story about him, but I know for a fact that he when he died, he finished a poem that he had written, and then he just drifted off. He just died, you know. That we do know, and we have witnesses. So that should be a cut and dry case. Also, I know that after I did Focus 10, because I was very thorough, and I have a proper Focus 10. I can immediately go to Focus 10, almost immediately. It takes me like a minute, and that's something I can do. I've not yet achieved a proper Focus 12, but it's like you can achieve handing off focus, like you can go that deep and then hand off your breath to your body, and then just notice yourself automatically breathing. It's like, oh shit, who's this guy breathing? Oh shit, I hear breath, but it's not I'm not the one breathing. You know, so that I know is possible. That I'm 100% sure that is possible. And I also know that when I did ayahuasca, the ayahuasca worked in such a way that it showed me a pattern. And as I looked at it, it was like I've been taken inwards into my body, and the ayahuasca thing has created a experience where when I close my eyes, I see almost like X-ray vision, a scan of the illuminated mouth, esophagus, down into the lungs. It's an illustration of that. And so I would breathe in, and there would be like the light would go a certain way, so it's like signaling downwards into the lungs, you know, like on a airport when the planes come, the lights light up like this direction, you know, follow this track right here. It would do the same thing with the lights as I was breathing in. And so I would just look at it and almost get hypnotized, and because I would keep breathing in as long as the lights showed me to breathe in. Then I would hold it in my lungs as long as the light showed me to keep the air in my lungs. And then I would breathe out when it gave me the signal. And all the time I felt that my lungs were further back, so they were kind of like in another dimension, and I could sense it. And I thought, look, if I follow the breath, I'll be in a different dimension. So I would be like, you know, and everybody in the room could like hear my loud breath. And the shamans kept singing. You know, this was a huge ceremony with people in a temple. And you know, just so you know, these were war veterans. They happen to have a little bit PTSD, but these were war heroes. These were business people with millions of dollars. These were people who could retire whenever they want. One of them was a girl. She was a songwriter in Los Angeles. And then there were some normal people who needed healing. And then there was me who wanted like spiritual stuff. It's a whole, but everybody who does this, these were great people. These were great people. These are no druggies. These are no freaks. This is like way better than most board meetings you go to. So it's complete. People have got it completely wrong about with their misconceptions and their judgmental mentality. Well, anyways, we were doing that, and I was doing it, and my whole body started to vibrate from the breathing, because I'm essentially hyperventilating or overflowing with oxygen or whatever. And eventually I understood that I'm gonna keep going. I couldn't feel my arms, just like you. And eventually I knew if I keep on going, I'm probably gonna faint. So I went for that, and I got the same issue as you. I got afraid and stopped. I got afraid and started to resist. It's scary, man. It's scary. But one of the things that you can do is that you can experiment with blood pressure fall created from yogic pranayama exercises, and then learn to hang out in that kind of new sensation, and learn that it's not dangerous, but your body is gonna lay down flat and kind of attach itself from you. And that's gonna allow you the freedom to astral project. But like you have a couple of lockers, a couple of safety mechanisms, right? And one of them is called the Brahma locker, and then there is the Vishnu, and then there's the Rudra locker. And basically it means safety to their continuation of experiences, and that would both be to keep it, but also that it's not a one-time thing, because you can have something called Satori. Satori means you're about to achieve something and you get a little drip just to show you what's possible, right? So you it sounds like you had a little drip to show you what's possible with training. This is a blessing. And then you have the Rudra Granthi, which is basically when you make it your truth that this is something of your experience that you can control, which would be exemplified by Parmahamsa Yogananda, that he could do this at any time with all the control whenever he wanted, right? So that's kind of like the end game that we're going for here, right? And of course the patterning I'm doing now at Focus 12 in track 3, which is 1 month of patterning. It's going to be super, it's going to fill us, it's going to fill me with determinism for actually reaching my goal. And so that I don't just go out, but I have somewhere to go to. And that's like the book about paradise. It's a super important concept. The book about paradise is not a book you can rent in the library, because those books are terrible. I remember going at English course and reading, this is not this long ago, but it was education in English, and we were reading these stories about slavery, essentially. And all of those books were terrible. They were horrible. They were putting rot and filth in the minds of people. And frankly, not even the ancestors, not even the descendants, not even the descendants of these slaves. We're all essentially descendants of slaves if we go far enough back, but not even them should read this filth, because it makes you weak. It gives you a victim mentality, and it basically fills you up with visualization of hopelessness and suffering. And that's the opposite, right? And we've gotten ourselves in a track where that's everything we watch, it's everything we read, and we need to sit down and make plans for, okay, if I'm gonna build a place to astral project to, if I'm gonna design my personal paradise, what should it look like? And it's actually very tricky to do, because you see in this guy's comment, just in Judawi's comment that he left here, he said, I felt like a prophet, and I'm ashamed to say it. I'm ashamed to say what I felt. I'm ashamed to speak my mind. I'm ashamed to talk about my experience here, because the judgment I feel from my surroundings is so oppressive. It's so oppressive to be this high up at the top, because people who are beneath are just looking to pull you down. It's like, oh my God, you've taken way too much. You need to, hey, Judawi, maybe you should admit yourself to insane asylum. Yeah, you crazy motherfucker. You know what I mean? And it's also that you look for guidance. Say you go to a Buddhist monk and you say, I have this experience. Do you have any advice? Yeah, well, maybe you should stop hyperventilating, or maybe you should do this. And you go back to that meditation, and it's this boring, lame ass. Like, this guy giving this advice cannot be very attained, right? And because of that, it feels kind of hopeless. I've even seen videos of Sadhguru and other yogis, he's not alone, where, well, frankly, it's not his fault. He was put on the spot. And I won't go into detail, but he was put on the spot, and he gave an answer that was a little bit preaching to the choir. That kind of made me doubtful of his abilities. But then again, there are other videos where he does a very good figure. But you know, it's just a general theme. I'm using him as a bad example. But I'll use him as a good example. How about that? There's a video where he went out and he said, you know, I was meditating, I could hear voices, and I sensed that these voices were coming from aliens. Okay, that's very brave of Sadhguru to do. He has a lot to lose. He is not just a yogi, he's a political figure. People are arguing with him over the land he owns. He took a big risk saying that. So I'll use him as a good example. How about that? That's a good, I'm using Sadhguru as a good example. Yeah. So, yeah. But then there are other yogis who, when you tell them you hear voices, it's like, oh, if you hear voices, that's not the spiritual awakening, and that means that you've gone too far and you're beginning to lose your mind and you're going insane. And frankly, that's not representative of us. That's not. But I understand why they have to say it. But frankly, everything is part of spiritual awakening. I mean, do you have hearing? Then hearing will be part of your spiritual awakening, right? It encompasses everything. It's very mystic. Yeah, it's very mystic. It encompasses consciousness. You have hearing. You know, that's the end all be all of that story. So of course, there's going to be symptoms of spiritual awakening on the hearing level. It's not strange. But you're going to have to keep balance, and you're going to have to keep control. And that's what you see here, that you need a space to practice this one part, this one aspect of the skill, so that you can fully execute the skill that you are about to attain. And for that, I say yogic pranayama, breath retention after hyperventilating, essentially. And then, or as I like to do, I just do burpees. And you even got yourself a little workout. And then I sit down, I breathe in, and then I I clench my ass, and I bring that air up to my heart, and I just squeeze. And when you do that, you're squeezing on the nerves that attach to your heart. And we call this one the third arm. Or some people even call it the internal neklace, because it's like a necklace that comes down from your brain, from behind, you know, in the lower structure on your brain, and it goes to the heart. You know, look at the anatomy. Body mapping, body awareness, and Kundalini, these systems go very well together, and you should mix them. So do it. And then you know exactly where the third arm, the arm that's responsible for Maha samadhi and stopping the heart, goes. Yeah, I think I'll use that for clickbait. Yeah, because it's not really clickbait. I promise I'll get into it, and I'm kind of getting you there. I'm kind of getting you there, preparing you. Yeah, so you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. I don't need to reveal it to you. It'll be like Kung Fu Panda at the end. It's like, he didn't teach you the secret technique. It's like, and you can just say, no, he didn't. I figured it out myself.